Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome to another amazing episode of Boss Talks. And I'm here with Christine Drummond, my partner in crime. And listen, between you and I've found out some secret knowledge. The secret knowledge is that this podcast is, in fact, the greatest podcast in the history of the universe. And I'm telling you that because wouldn't you want to be a good person and share that podcast that is the best podcast in the history of the universe to all your friends? Listen, we are a word of mouth podcast. And if this is your first time, that's the fee. If you've been listening to us for a while, share the podcast. If we give you a laugh, leave us a review. It helps out a ton, and it really just helps us know that we're making a difference. So yeah, it gives us a bit of a pep up too. So today, Christine and I are continuing the series of that we've gained from reading a book in a mastermind called The Laws of Success, and it's terrific. And today it's been a game changer. Like it really just knocked me off my axis then. Listen, today is lesson 10, and it's accurate thought. And at the start of every chapter, the author writes, "You can if you believe you can." And I could literally stop the podcast there, Christine, and that would be enough. If people let that just sink in and marinate and really just understand that everything is just an extension of our mind, the body, so what we think we'll eventually have in our health, wealth, all that kind of stuff. And look, there's going to be neg ferrets right now saying, oh, you can't just think your way to flying and all that kind of stuff. And you just because you believe or say I am or something like that, you can't, be better than LeBron James at basketball. Well, listen, that may be true, but for most things, if you believe you can, you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to have it. What you hold in your mind, you can hold in your hand. So accurate thought. This is a huge one for business. Like this is something that has probably caused me to be short with my colleagues and employees, and unfortunately more than any other topic, because I can't, to make an accurate decision, I need to be able to have the facts. You can't create, you can't make great decisions off fantasy. I need the facts. So if I think of it like this, if I'm trying to get from here to the other side of Australia, there's no point planning the trip if I don't know where here is. So I need to be accurate to know where I am, and I need to be accurate about where I'm going, and then I can make a plan. If I don't know where here is, then I really can't make a plan. And that's business in a nutshell. If you get accurate information and deal in facts, then you're going to have it a lot easier. So accurate thought, Christine, it's like dealing in just really sorting out what's important and what's unimportant. And this chapter was huge. It was huge. I think I wrote more notes on this one than any other one. So, Christine, what did you get from it? It's huge, right?
Yeah, this was a big chapter. And I think for me, it really got me to question my own accurate thinking and the information that I was taking on board. So I love what he says here, that accurate thought involves two fundamentals, which all who indulge in it must observe. The first one is to think accurately. You must separate facts from mere information. And there's much information available to you that is not based upon facts. And then the second thing is you must separate facts into two classes, namely the important and the unimportant, or the relevant and the irrelevant. And only by doing so can you think clearly. Now, I've got this is not related to business, but the story I want to share is I was given some information about some people that were partaking in a leisure activity, and I was told that they died doing this leisure activity here locally where I live. Now, I was like, oh my gosh, I was a mum and a daughter, and I'm like, oh, that's terrible. And so I went and Googled it to find the facts. And guess what I found? They didn't die. So before I went out there and started telling the story, they actually didn't die. They just found themselves in a really challenging position, but they overcame it, and that they survived, and they're okay. But this is how it's that Chinese whispers. Remember playing that game and the messages got mixed up, and then by the time you got to the last person, it was a totally different message to what was first said, because people hear what they want to hear. And people who are caught up in drama, that's what they hear. They hear the drama, and they love to, I suppose, expand on that drama as well and over-exaggerate. And over-exaggeration is a quality in my family. Like, I don't know why, but we seem to over-exaggerate in our family. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. But I want to go to a business incident that happened when I was a little bit younger, starting out in my human resources field. And someone gave me some information about somebody that worked in that company, somebody that I hadn't met, but I was doing an induction for a person that was going to be working for that person. And the information that I got was very negative and looked poorly upon this person. And so all I did, without getting the facts, was I passed on the information about that person that was passed on to me, without even knowing this person. So I made a judgment on them without even having a conversation with them. Now, the best thing that happened was I got caught out. The new inductee told the person that they worked for, because they got along really well with her, and then she rang me and gave me an absolute earful. And it's the best thing that could have happened in my career, because the accurate thinking that went on in my life after that, finally someone called me out on my bullshit. Finally someone questioned my fact finding, and I'm so grateful that they did, because it has served me so well moving forward in my career and in my life. And it's made me more open and more curious, and I question things a lot more. And now I live with an incredible human being, my partner, who questions me again, gets me to question things again, like really challenges, like, where did you get that information? Or where are the facts on that? And I love that, because it holds us accountable, and it gets us to cipher through the information that we're being presented. Now, if you're a business owner and you have staff underneath you that work for you, you are going to have discrepancies. You're going to have conflict. You're going to sometimes need to be a counselor. There's just no way around it. People have issues. People have challenges pop up. And what you need to do is come from a neutral perspective. What are the facts? Don't just take someone's word for what's happening, because there's always two sides to the story. And are either side right or wrong? Or are they just different? And I was talking to a friend the other day about how memories are not true. And the reason why I say that memories aren't true is because Joel and I could be at the same event, experiencing the same thing, but perceiving it in two totally different ways. So who's to say that my memory is true and his isn't, or his is true and mine isn't? I could be having the most joyous, blissful experience, and Joel could be having the most traumatic experience at the same event. And so this is why we need to start questioning and getting more accurate with the facts, and kind of being more emotionally intelligent about it as well. So Joel, I don't know, have I totally gone off on a tangent there? Hopefully this is landing.
Absolutely not. And it's funny. Have you ever done Chinese whispers with yourself, in your own head?
No, that'd be funny.
Yeah, well, you can have something happen, and then over time you can convince yourself that it happened a different way, that you can actually nearly, you can believe anything if you tell yourself enough times, and I love what you said there, because I've had arguments with people and disagreements and with people, and now when I have other outside helpful people putting their 2 cents worth in, and they try to obviously take my side to my face, like, I actually just believe like when they say, oh, that person, that was rough. And I'm like, well, only from my perspective. Like from their perspective, they probably thought they were just as right as I think I am. You know what I mean? So like, who's accurate? And that's what I mean. Like you got to like almost take the emotion out of the thought, because emotion makes us do really strange things like buy stuff that we don't need and eat stuff we shouldn't eat. And, you know, like we don't even get into like what like relationships with partners and stuff can do. When we get emotional, things can get pretty crazy. But if you can actually take a breath, and this is something that if you follow Jocko Wilkins, I think of stuck his last name up, but he talks about from the Navy SEALs, like the dichotomy of leadership and stuff. It's like, you know, you got to have no emotion, take a step back, assess what's going on, and then make a decision there. Where so many people just like, they're reactive, right? So I have trained myself to realize that if I never make great decisions when I'm reactive. Unless it was like running away from a T-Rex that jumped out of the bush or a tiger or something. Being reactive then is probably pretty helpful. But other than that, you know, we're like that. So this book gives us a strategy. And if you've listened to the previous podcasts, you'll be able to piece these together. So the strategy is to basically keep the weeds out of your brain. You know, there's always going to be negative thoughts coming into your head. You're always going to have that monkey mind, the reptilian part of our brain trying to keep us safe, keep us in our comfort zone. And, you know, nothing that you really want in your comfort zone, because if it was, you'd already have it. So you're going to have to get outside your comfort zone, which means you're going to have to take control of your mind, because your mind's doing everything it can 24 hours a day to keep you there. So what are you going to do? Well, first of all, you need to know what you want. And then you need to be accurate in your thought of how you can attain it. So step one is to auto suggestion, like really just powering in that you believe that you can have it. You know, like if you want to be a world leading businessman, well, then I am a world leading businessman, and start doing the things that a world leading businessman would be doing. Like if you want to, you know, you got to respect your competition. If you want to be a world leading businessman, or if you want to be a sports star, you know, and what would someone that's a world leader be doing right now? And are you doing it? Are you conducting yourself? So if you are watching Netflix 18 hours a day, do you think you're going to beat Jeff Bezos? Like, because if you do, you're disrespecting your competition. That's what I'm saying. So auto suggestion, get into the subconscious mind and really just hardwire those neurons and those neural pathways to start acting accordingly. And, you know, once again, this is where the weeds are going to come in. You're going to stay, if you don't stand guard to your mind, you're going to let someone's opinion come in. You're going to hear something on a podcast that may not even be in context. I've done this, and it's going to take you out of the game. You're going to let something that you hear from your coach, or something that you hear on TV, or something like, make you believe that what you're doing is incorrect. And that's just usually someone else's opinion. So you got to be really, really, really specific about who you take advice from. And I'll give you a tip. If they're not on the field, getting bashed up on the park, and they're just sitting throwing tomatoes from the sidelines, or probably at home because they're too lazy to even go out, who cares what they say? Only listen to the people that are, you know, doing what you want to do, or give you a very good reason why you should take their stuff on. So creative thought. I'm going to give you a tip. All thought is creative. Whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. You're still creating. Right now, whether you believe it or not, just because you don't believe in gravity doesn't mean when you jump off the roof, you don't break your legs. So just understand that you are creating your world with your thought. So if that's true, control what you're creating. Be really mindful about what it is that you are like creating in your mind, because eventually you're going to speak the words and you're going to speak it into existence. You're going to make that happen. And honestly,
I want to cut in here, Joel, because I really want the listeners to get this, because there's going to be some people out there that go, what do you mean? Like I'm creating my reality right now with my thoughts? Yes. Oh, but here I am in a wheelchair, or I didn't think that, or that car accident that I had last week, I didn't create that. Yes, you did. Like, that's the power of your mind. And like subconsciously, like right at the back, even though you're not going out there going, oh, I'm going to have a car accident today, you're self-sabotaging yourself in some way. Like, imagine that there's something that you want to do, like something big that maybe you want to go to, or you want to do, or you want to experience, and it's going to cost time and money and energy and effort. That car accident could be a way of you self-sabotaging that process. Does that make sense? I just really wanted to come in here, Joel, and really get people to start thinking about that.
That could be the thing that leads you to be able to create that. So this, like the car accident could be that, like, I could have a car accident, not be a dick about it, but I run into Jeff Bezos' car. Would that be a good, like, I'd get a connection with him? Hopefully a good one, but you know what I mean? Like, you never know. Like, there's been many people you can look that are born without limbs, or seem to be having some sort of disadvantage, that have made tremendous careers for themselves. Like, it's not always what you see as surface level. So people could look at something as a disadvantage, and people would say, no, that's a gift. You know what I mean? Like, what are you being put here for? What is your soul contract? We're going deep into this, Drummo. Like, what is the contract, the reason you jumped into the meat suit and came down to the earth, and are you living it? Because write this one down. Accurate thought is infinite intelligence. And desire is the seed of all achievement. So, like I said, step 1 is auto-suggestion. Step 2 is work on the subconscious mind, all while keeping the weeds out. Have creative thought, all while keeping the weeds out and tapping into the infinite intelligence. Now, here's the part where usually they go, all right, the people that love The Secret go, goodbye. You need to take, this is the part where we're really going to get you, right? You need to take physical action. Because without the physical action, how are you going to move matter? Now, there's going to be people out there that say, oh, look, we can sing Kumbaya and meditate and play with crystals, and hey, there was a pink moon. Great. I have yet to see someone be able to manifest the letterbox over at the front and put it here on my table just by sitting here and going, If you can do it, let me know. Because I'm going to tell you something that I don't think any other listeners other than the people in the Arte Syndicate have heard. Ed Milet, on his first call, taught the group how to actually use the law of attraction properly, and how he and Andy Vasili use it, right? They write their goals down, right? They do all that stuff. They do all the stuff that you hear, like write your goals down, I am statements, all that kind of stuff. But he said the key to his success, and he says caveat here, he says you're not going to just do it today and be amazing at it. He says it's taken him like 30 years of doing it. And he says he didn't do it because he knew. He did it out of necessity. He had to find a way, because he was so broke in the early days, and things went wrong, and he had to will things into existence, and that's business. And if you're listening to this podcast, listen on, strap in. He said that the way that he does it, he says that that your body has to be in alignment on the same vibration as your mind. So for you to bring something into being, you can't just think it. You've got to also, like, the mind is also, like, Your subconscious is your mind, is your up here in your head. For those that are listening, in your head, and your subconscious is your body. I had to get that right. I knew I was wrong there. Your subconscious is your body. Your conscious mind is in your head. You need the two to be in alignment. The way he gets into alignment, and this is where Christine's going to be so stoked, is that all those goals that you're writing down and you're wondering why it's not working, or maybe it's not working fast enough. He said, take those goals when you are at the peak of your training session physically. So when you are at when you're running and you're in the zone at the most and things that the world just slows down. And he says, that's you becoming in total alignment. You're in a vibrational match for your subconscious and your conscious mind. They both become one. And he says, that is when you turn the music off or whatever you're listening to and you visualize your goals, those things that you're writing down. So I know I gobbledygooked that in the middle, but I'm sure that was clear enough to say that if you're not writing your goals down accurately and you haven't used auto-suggestion, subconscious mind work, creative thought, infinite intelligence, and you are literally keeping the weeds out, that's other people's opinions, the bullshit you tell yourself, all that kind of stuff. If you don't keep all that out, make sure you exercise like crazy. And when you get that exercise high in the training session, you visualize your goals. I think that was pretty so all the jets and perfect partners and happy cars and holiday homes and perfect everything, perfect kids that you're all getting because you've listened to this and you've gone and acted on it, you're welcome. And like I said, I literally, Christine, I was out there just then doing it. I literally went out and I ran. And when I felt that equilibrium happen, I started visualizing my goals. And I tell you what, that creative thought just started for me. I don't know, have you ever experienced that, Drummer? Does that make sense?
Oh, I think we stopped the recording right here because that's one of the most powerful things that you've said on the podcast. You've just given everybody the flipping formula. That's it. And as you said, it's not going to happen overnight. It can take years. But yes, Joel, to answer your question, I find that when I'm on my runs, in the middle of my runs, is when I have the most inspiration, the most creative thoughts. And that's why I carry my phone with me, because I want to voice record it, what's coming through, what's channeling through from that higher self, from that conscious mind into the subconscious. And it's so, so important that you guys get this. You are your thoughts. And if you've got destructive thoughts, you're going to live a destructive life. If you've got, really amazing constructive thoughts, you'll have a constructive life. So I love what he says, the author says here. He says the subconscious mind has another outstanding characteristic. It accepts and acts upon all suggestions that reach it. So if you've got shit suggestions, you're going to have shit outcomes. And if you've got amazing, exceptional suggestions, you're going to have exceptional results. So be the gatekeeper of your thoughts, exactly what Joel said. And I want to make a point here about magazines. I can't even remember a time where I bought a gossip magazine. And I want you, and I'm sorry to bring this in, Joel, but I feel like it's really important. What are you fueling your mind with? Is it just gossip? And 1 week, this magazine is saying one thing about these celebrities, and the next week they're saying a totally different thing. They want your money. They want to keep you loyal. That's why they are feeding on people that love the drama. But guys, you guys are smart. I know our listeners are smart, and you're probably not buying those type of magazines. But if you are, please, I know it's sometimes nice to just switch off and read something trashy, but please cipher through the information. There's nothing that annoys me like when people judge celebrities or give them a hard time when they don't even know them. They don't even know what these people are doing silently in the background for humanity and for the greater good. And the other thing too, Joel, is so many of our beliefs and our thoughts come from our upbringing well before we were born. And they're drilled into us before we're 8. So before we're 8, we are pretty much programmed. Our belief systems are imprinted in us, and we have to sometimes in our life rewire ourselves to break the shackles from that shitty stinking thinking that's been passed on from generation to generation. And I'm here to tell you that you have the power to do that by simply choosing accurate thought, by simply questioning, okay, is this true, what my parents have been telling me my entire life? Does this really sit with me and my values and who I am at the core? Is this my truth? Or am I a little bit different? Is this why I don't really fit in with my family because I have different thoughts? I'm less judgmental, or I'm more curious, or I'm more interested in getting to the facts than just talking about people behind their backs. Like, honestly, guys, you are not, like, your parents don't own you. And if you're a parent, you don't own your kids. And the greatest gift that we can give them is an open mind. I truly believe that. So we teach our kids about all religions. I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual, you know, and I know there is something greater, something higher. And I think we all kind of believing in the same thing. We all, and I think that's great. It gives us faith and hope and all that. But I'm teaching our children about all kinds of different religions. And even with our footy teams, how many of us follow a footy team because our parents went for that footy team? I'm saying to our children, mummy goes for this team or daddy goes for this team. But when you're older, you make your decision. You go for whatever team you want. You don't have to follow the pack. You be the leader. You choose your own thoughts. You choose your own religion. You choose your own beliefs. Cipher through the information and choose what feels right for you. And can we please stop judging people? Like different religions, people that believe different things. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just different. And who are we to say what's right or what's wrong? Just because we've been given a belief system that we feel like we need to take on as our own. And we're here to tell you today, you don't. Okay. And you have the power to change your reality through the accurate thought that you are feeding your mind every single day. And Joel just mentioned and gave you a multi-million-dollar strategy for you living a more purposeful life, a more successful life, and getting everything that you want, you know, to come to fruition. So sorry, Joel, I wanted to add that in. And hopefully it's starting to sink in for people how powerful our thoughts are.
Well, that's true. The thing that can derail people is, especially in this day and age, is where everything's just so instantaneous now. Like, we don't even, like, we don't get up to change the channel on the TV. We don't have ads if we don't want to. We've got like instant, like, I remember when you used to save money before you got anything. You didn't have a credit card. All those things, and it's all changed, and it's all instantaneous now. You want information, it's on your phone, like immediately, which is, there's so much of an upside to that. But what it's also done is it's trained us to like be impatient. So you got to have some hope and faith to even get started. But as you get started, you got to have patience. It's got to, you know, we don't just plant an oak seed and then in 5 minutes there's an oak tree. That takes time to grow something, but isn't it worth it? That's the same thing. If you think that, you know, you've given it a go and, you know, it hasn't worked out immediately, like, that's okay. You're still on track. Keep going, because there's no failure, because, well, there's no such thing as failure, because time turns all failure into success if you just keep on pivoting. You know, it's just the universe giving you feedback, or the market giving you feedback that you probably need to brush your skills up. You know, like I physically couldn't create Amazon tomorrow. You know what I mean? But over time, I know people that have like started from scratch and built their own mini versions of that and done very, very well. Like, did they beat Jeff Bezos? No, but he's been doing it longer. And, you know, like there's multiple different ways of and metaphors and stories of like that's illustrating that point. So you're only literally just moving through the test. So keep going, you know, like keep doing the things every day. Like Drummo, we've done and been to so many seminars and put our own ones on and got the podcast. We've given gold away. How many people do you know that go to conferences still do the practice afterwards? You know, I was speaking to a mentor of mine the other day, and he sent 50 or 60 people to Tony Robbins events. And he said out of all those people that he sent, only 2 people have gone on with like living the dream and built a different life, have created lasting change. And it was myself and his son. So I don't know, Joe, I see you go to plenty and you apply it quickly and make a better life out of it. But realistically, most people just get pumped up and then just stop. And, you know, for things to change first, like I must change. So, and that's it. Go get the good information from the right people, doing the things that you want to do, living a life that you want to live. And I can tell you, if you persevere, and this might mean cutting out certain people out of your life, cutting certain things out of your life, you know, like if, you know, the old story, like everyone can do a to-do list. How about you go home and do a to-don't list? What are the 10 things you shouldn't be doing? Like, is Netflix a problem? Is alcohol a problem? Is, I don't know. What is it? You know, what's your problem? Maybe you're working too much and you need to spend more time with your family. I know I'm pretty success driven and all that, but like family first, right? Because what's the point of having money if you're just a lonely old man or a lonely old woman? So that's it, Drummo. Accurate thought. Have follow what I said. Use Ed Milet's strategy, and yeah, watch out for those Chinese whispers, especially in the conversations you're having with yourself. So that's me.
I love it. I love it, mate. And something that you said before this call as well is when you have those goals, the difference between people that make it and don't make it is that they make a firm decision and they commit to it. They make it a must. Like they get so connected to why this thing, why this achievement, this goal has to happen and how it's going to feel once they do it. They get so connected and tapped in and in tune with that they make a decision very quickly but change their mind very rarely. Whereas the general population make decisions really slowly and change their mind regularly. What happens if you just became a go-getter, if you just became an implementer? Speed of implementation is what drives from the inspiration. If you don't act on those moments when Joel says that creativity and inspiration comes, which is at the peak of your workouts, if you don't act on that and visualize and, kind of surrender from all the distraction and everything and just tune in and go, okay, what's coming up for me today? And tapping into that, and having a journal close by to write it all down. But if you don't act on that inspiration, it just passes by, and it passes by with time. And then all of a sudden 1 year's gone by and you haven't acted. And then 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And you look back on the last decade and you think, oh my gosh, what have I done with my life? So speed of implementation is really key when you have these thoughts coming in, these, thoughts from a higher self. That's what we want. We want to be tapping into the thoughts that are coming in from a higher self. And how do you get there? Is by, moving your body and tapping in consciously, being more aware of the messages and the opportunities that are presented to you every single day. Oh my gosh, we have an abundance of opportunities all around you. If you're in a job that you hate, guess what? There's a million opportunities out there for you. You could be doing something different that could be bringing more passion, more fulfillment to your life. But here's what I see out there, Joel. and I've done my own personal research into this when I've toured around, and it's about 99% of people that I get in front of and I ask them, what do you want out of life? 99% of people don't know. They have no idea. They are caught in the monotony and the mundane activities of day-to-day life, and they've stopped dreaming, and they're just, they're definitely not accurately thinking. They're just caught up in the drama. It's like a soap opera. They're caught in this soap opera of life. And I really want to challenge our listeners today to go, are you playing small in life right now? And if you are, why? And what are the consequences of that? If you continue exactly as things are and nothing changes, and you don't rise up, and you don't start moving towards these goals that you want, then what's life going to look like in the next 5 or 10 years if nothing changes? And are you going to be okay with that? And as Joel said, you've got no one else to blame. You have to take self-responsibility with this. So I just wanted to end with that, Joel, because I want to really drill it home by how important people's thoughts are.
I can tell you, like, what about that? We both went to the same conference, and that person got us to draw out 80 squares on a piece of paper and then color out how many. If you're 40, well, then you got to color 40 in and really just see visually how many years you got left. And I can tell you, I was at a meeting with a mentor of mine, and I just kicked some serious butt. I got to the point where I really had succeeded in life to a point where I could physically do nothing if I wanted to. And he said, and I was talking to him about another deal that I was doing, another business opportunity. And he's like, look, just make a decision. You're either going to do it or you're not. What it costs doesn't matter. Like all that kind of stuff. Like, just choose whether you're going to do it or not. And if you don't, then move on quickly and find something. He said, because you're actually very fortunate, but also you're in a trap. He goes, it'll be very easy for you to blink your eyes and a whole decade will go past and you'll have nothing to show for it. You wouldn't have done anything and you'll have no fulfillment. And I was like, wow. And honestly, like, I guess the second part of this is and I said this off air, like specifically me, how I will things into existence. My version of the law of attraction is when I see what I want and I'm putting something together, I act like it's happening. It's definitely happening. I have said yes to deals in my life and had no money to pay for them. I have literally organized moving house before I'd afforded the deal. I have no idea. But the universe will conspire with you if you put enough energy in it. It's like trying to take it off in a rocket. The hardest part is to get it out of the atmosphere. Then you're cruising. And that's what people are frightened to launch and just commit to it and actually go for it. And, it's not always going to work out. But that's life. If you expect everything to work out and never have anything go wrong, well, then stay at home and don't do anything. And then you've got to be faced with what I'm the most frightened of. And I use this against myself all the time because I have a high level of self-awareness and I know who I am. Regret. That's what I said to Christine. I said, look, I don't even know what I'm doing with half this stuff that I'm doing. But all I'm going to know is that if I don't do it, there's going to be a day where I'm laying in a bed or sitting on a chair or, I don't know, probably hopefully flying a jet or something. I don't know, flying a spaceship or something. And I'm going to be taking my last couple of breaths and I'm going to be looking and thinking, geez, I wished I just swung the bat and had a real go and went all in, because all that shit that was in my head that I was so frightened of, I couldn't give a stuff about anymore. It's too late now. And then what I add to make myself even more scared is I'm going to be looking, hopefully, at my family who are there to say goodbye, and I'm going to be looking at them, and are they going to be living via some form of the example I set? And are my family freaking losers or are they winners because they took after me? And if that doesn't make you get off your ass, then you probably should stop listening to the podcast. That's it, Drummo.
I love that, mate. And I want to finish with something that a good friend of ours always says. She says, you're not born a loser, you're born a chooser. And you get to make a choice lots of choices every single day about the reality that you live in and about your life. And we hope that this podcast has hit you at the core today, because if we don't start changing ourselves and our patterns and our behaviors and our thinking, then no one's coming along to do it for us. No one's coming along to save us. It's up to us. And you don't have to be the same person that you were 5 years ago or 5 minutes ago. You get to write this next chapter of your life and how your story ends. And you all have the power to do that. So go and use that power to change your life. So thank you, everybody. We will see you on the next podcast.
Damn. Yeah.